Hello, everyone. Yes, I am so very excited. It's been a minute, right? It's been a minute since I've been here on the Ella Johnson Show, but I am here. You guys got me all week. It is my very first birthday series. This year is birthday 53 series, and we're going to be live every single night. Is that exciting or what, guys? Yes.
Yes.
Yay.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
Listen, I'm excited. Thank you so much, dear. Thank you so much, Frida. I am in Atlanta. I am shooting live from Atlanta. I'm here with Miss Ashley. Well, she's there and I'm here, but we're in the same city, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But I
Welcome
am
to
shooting live from Atlanta, guys. It's all week, 7 p.m. Eastern every night. It's like a revival. Y'all know about the revivals. Now, I'm not the only one from the country. Y'all know about those weekly revivals.
Tea
Well,
Yes.
this is
revival.
Monday night, and tonight we are having a show about awareness of job discrimination. This is something that no matter where you are in the world, what your race, color, creed may be, this is something that you are affected by. So we want to bring this to the Ella Johnson Show because that's what we do. We love to bring interesting shows to you so that we can all grow and learn from. If you are watching from Facebook, I appreciate you as always. But I appreciate you if you would just share the broadcast for me if you're watching from YouTube. I also appreciate that. And I want to thank all of those that have subscribed to the Ella Johnson Show this week. I appreciate it. Let's get those numbers up, guys. But if you have not subscribed and you're there, you might as well subscribe. You're already there. And then don't forget to hit the bell so that you can get notifications about all of my shows, right? So I am excited about this show. You guys see, I have a full house tonight. Everyone here to talk about discrimination. We have women on the panel who are experiencing discrimination. They have cases and litigation. Of course, you know, we can't go too much in detail. They have litigation right now. And then we have Latangela who's here. She's not a lawyer, y'all. Now, I want the questions and everything. Yes, do bring the questions, but just know that there's some things that she cannot advise. We're just here tonight to give you information that you can use. Right, guys? Now, the one thing I want you guys to know now, these are the housekeeping rules. You know that we love to bring your comments on the screen. See that? Now, if you are not so sure, if you have a typo, check yourself because everybody's going to know that you can't spell. But I don't let that stop you though. But I just want everybody to know that I want to hear what you have to say. I want your questions. The panel welcomes your questions. That's what tonight's show is all about. It's giving you information. But if you have a situation and you need more information about it, please, by all means, ask your question. All right. So I want you guys to do that. What else I want to talk about? Okay. Since it was my birthday, now I want you guys. Now I just want you to let the Lord use you. Let the Lord use you wherever your spirit goes. But here is my cash out. If you feel led to give to my cash out for my birthday to help this show and all of the things that I have going on, I am definitely excited to receive it. The Bible does say it's better to give than to receive. But tonight I would, like that receiving side. But it's not just for me. It's for all of the things that I do, giving back to Africa and putting back into our community. So if you would like to give, by all means, there's my cash app. You can put your phone up to it right now. It'll go right to my bank account. That's what I'm talking about. So I just want you guys to know that is part of our birthday for this week. I'm going to share so much with you guys, but after this break, we'll be right back and you're going to get to meet all of my guests. They are incredible. They are exciting. They are excited. So I want you to do me a favor. Go ahead and get somebody that you know needs to watch the show. Go ahead and tag them right now. Share the broadcast. And after this, we'll be right back. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Ella Johnson Show. It's time for the Ella Johnson Show. I'm so excited that you've taken time out to tune in to the Ella Johnson Show. I hope you enjoy the broadcast. So sit back, relax, and I'll see you at the end of the show. One day someone asked me, "Ella, what is so special about doing talk shows? Like, why do you do it?" I said, because I love for people to see that God is using them. Because things don't happen to you. They actually happen through you. And now it's time for the Ella Johnson Show, where we set the table for real talk conversations. So hit that share button and invite your family and friends to watch the Ella Johnson Show. Stay tuned. And we're back. Listen, if you are just tuning in, guys, it's the Ella Johnson Show Birthday 53 series. And tonight we're talking about job discrimination. We want to make sure that you guys have all the information you need. We're going to have to bring it back another night. You guys are going to have to stay tuned for part two because there's so much information to cover. And we're only going to touch the surface tonight, okay? But I want you guys to meet my guest. But before I go that, I want you guys to see why this is so important, why these shows are necessary. 61% of employees in the United States of America have either experienced or witnessed employment discrimination in the workplace. Okay. So that's the reason this is so important. That's the reason that Latangela said that this is a very trending topic, is because of those statistics, right? And I just want everybody to know, just as a basis, you have the right to work in an environment free of discrimination. You cannot be denied employment. You can't be harassed, terminated, paid less, or treated unfavorably because of your race, religion, and all those other things that we got going on, right? So it's very important for you guys to know, number one, your worth, know your rights. And that's what we're going to get into tonight. So meet my guest. First up, we have Miss Brandy Michelle. Doesn't she look pretty? Just as pretty as she can be. Miss Brandy Michelle, she is a registered behavior tech. She has her bachelor's in psychology. Mental illness is something that she really pays close attention to and is willing to fight for and is an advocate of. She will tell you about what she's been diagnosed with as we go through her story. But she is here tonight because she's also experienced discrimination in the workplace. Well, basically getting hired and then getting fired like right afterwards. So you'll hear a little bit more about her story later on. Welcome to the Ella Johnson Show, Miss Brandy.
Thank you. Hi.
She's so shy. By the end of the show, she won't be. By the end of the show, she'll have my mic, right? Then next we have Miss Frida. Frida has also filed with the EEOC. She is suffering from PTSD, but she is a former police officer who has experienced discrimination. And her basis for her discrimination case is that her ADA rights have been violated, allegedly. So welcome to the Ella Johnson Show, Miss Frida.
Thank you. So glad to be here.
We are so glad to have you. She's already set up. See, everybody here is already professional. They do their own shows. So she's just ready to go into her show next. But welcome. Welcome to the Ella Johnson Show, Miss Frida. Next, we have Miss Tanya Crop. Guys, listen, I struggled with her name. I'm telling you, I had to go through some. She had to get me right. She had to put some respect on my name, Ella. But Miss Tanya is coming with us from San Diego, California, guys. She has started her career in PR and marketing, but majority sales. In fact, the last 20 years, she's been in sales. Her last company was military and government sales, and she left after 4 years. Sexual harassment, discrimination. You're going to hear all about that tonight. But she went into another role, and after that, she was there a year and a half. We'll hear about that as well. But she launched her website after all this drama that she's been going through. She launched her own website because she has a degree in journalism. So she wanted to do some freelance writing. And that website is www.adultsplaysports.com. She'll talk to us a little bit about that. Welcome to the Ella Johnson Show, Miss Tanya.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Oh, yes, yes. Isn't she beautiful? All right, guys. Next, we have Miss Latangela. Miss Latangela Rogers. She is an author of Lord Build Me a House. She is the founder and president of Jericho Community Development. She is the host of her own podcast, which is titled Fire Unfiltered. She's a public speaker, a teacher, a missionary, and she's been doing that in her community for the last 50 plus years. She worked with the state of California and the workforce division for 14 years. She's been there for 14 years, and that's why she's able to talk to us so much tonight about workplace discrimination. But she also has a BA in management and a master's in human behavior. Welcome to the Ella Johnson Show.
Thank you.
Yes.
And happy
All right.
birthday.
Well, thank you. Listen, I should have, told you guys to bring a glass tonight so we can toast like every night on the Ella Johnson Show. But I don't want to be responsible for any, habits. I have to put my disclaimer because I did that one time on the show and it backfired on me. But I see Miss Frida's taking a drink for me tonight. Thank you, love.
Water's better.
Is that water?
Yeah, water's better for you.
Oh, okay. My bad. I digress. I thought she had some rosé or something over there with me. Okay, but it's all good. Then we have Ashley, last but not least. She's a 2003 graduate of Tuskegee University. She is the CEO of Sessions Enterprises, where they bring corporate expertise to small business owners. Guys, this is very key. I want you guys to make sure you follow her and watch her, because if you have an idea of a small business, this is the lady to follow, and she's going to get you right on through it. She lost her job in March, and like many of us, she needed to know her next moves, and you'll see what they were tonight. Welcome to the Ella Johnson Show, Miss Next Moves, Next Level, Ashley Sessions.
Thank you for having me. Happy birthday. And if you had told me you were going to be here, I would have baked you a cake. So we'll talk about that next time.
Well, I'll be here a week.
Okay, well, we can talk about it.
I'm not going back to Orlando until next Tuesday. Just want to put that out there. Let me ask you a question. Do you make collard greens and all that kind of stuff too?
Of course, come on. I'm from Mobile, of course.
Well, I'm from Alabama and I can't cook a lick. But great. We'll talk.
Yes, we'll talk.
Well, listen, welcome all of you to the Ella Johnson Show. I am so excited that y'all took time out to come here and share your stories with everybody. But I want to jump right in because Latangela, we do have a lot to cover. So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna start with this right here. I wanna show this. So we're gonna answer and just follow up with some of these questions right here, guys. Okay, maybe not. Okay, hold on just a second. Let me get it. There we go.
There are many different forms of discrimination. However, it is important for us to understand exactly how an individual is being discriminated against.
Okay, so we're gonna take question by question, all right, so that we can jump into this. The different forms of discrimination. Let's go into it.
Okay, so as I was stating in the video, there are different types or forms of discrimination. There is all types. Some stuff is you don't even see written, and that is discrimination. But the main ones are unfair treatment. We see a lot of people who come up with complaints with they're being unfairly treated in the workplace. And how does that look like? Your race, your sexual orientation, your color, your religion, pregnancy. We see that quite often. Age discrimination. We see that complaint comes up as well. National origin. We always see that type of discrimination, especially when we get into refugees and people coming from other backgrounds or countries. We might see discrimination. And then what's new in the sector is everything that's concerning your gender. We see gender discrimination, like that is just real prevalent right now. Harassment. We see a lot of harassment in the workplace, those type of complaints, especially where I work. We always have a staff member that comes and said they're being harassed, and we're looking like, And so also denial of reasonable accommodations. Somebody mentioned ADA and not being reasonably accommodated for that. We see that quite often. Improper questions about or disclosure of your genetic information or your medical information. So HIPAA, we see people saying their HIPAA rights have been violated against. We see that also. And then there's retaliation. If you go and you want to report something up and that you don't like something, and then all of a sudden your manager or you feel like somebody who's over you, superior, starts retaliating against you and making your workplace uncomfortable. We hear that quite often as well. So that's just some of the areas.
Well, that's a lot. But I noticed transgenders, that's not considered one of the classes yet, is it?
You know what? We still have these type of claims, but yes, it's still everything with all the laws and everything still being worked out, changed, but we still have people coming up saying you don't, because if you see the pronouns, him, her, she, they.
I saw that one day and I was like, but I'm a he, I'm a she, I'm a her, and I don't understand that. So that's why that's there.
Yes, because people are letting you know that they are meaning they operate as two, I guess. I mean, it's a lot of moving parts with that.
So you're saying that some people identify as being a they?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I didn't. Did you guys know that?
Yes, I did.
Oh, you guys all knew that? They're like, no, Ella, you're the only, you're the only senior here. Ooh, that sounded bad. I'm sorry. All right, so let's go to the next question here. What is important when filing a claim?
And it is important to understand that the individual that is claiming or filing a claim on discrimination within their workplace, that they have the proper documentation to back up the discrimination. Yes. So document. We all know that we have to document. We see oftentimes where someone will file a complaint, but they have little documentation to prove that they are actually being either retaliated against, discriminated against, or, harassed in the workplace. Word of mouth is just not enough. You have to actually back it up with claims. And as I stated also in the video, endure. When I say endure, people say, you want me to just keep going through this? So y'all got to excuse me, I'm very animated. You want me to just deal with this? Like, how can I be just, you're going to have to produce something that shows that you have been harassed or that you've been retaliated against or discriminated or denied access. You have to show that. So when I say endure, you're just gathering information. So, if you're going to your workplace as management, we're going to gather our facts. We're going to document everything that you do to prove the reason why we are doing something or we're taking the action that we're taking. But staff, they don't understand that if you don't document too, you should be documenting as well. Your manager is documenting, you document your conversations, you file that away in your personal backdrop or whatever, however you choose to do it. You have to prove that you are experiencing timelines. You know what people will do instead? They won't give they won't give the actual investigator what they need, but they'll get on social media and give everything on social media. And it's like, why did you post all of this on social media? But you did not disclose all of this information in your actual complaint. So that is very important because we see a lot of cases thrown out because there's lack of evidence or proof that you're being discriminated against.
Let's go through some examples of what we're talking about. For
Mm-hmm.
example, let's say you know that I'll just give an example of something that I did where you're asking about an annual review or a raise or whatever the case may be. Email. Even if I were to go and have a conversation with my superior, I would always go back to my desk and send a follow-up email confirming the conversation.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So if they have any disputes and no, we didn't talk about that, that's the time to do it. But that's also my feedback, my follow-up that yes, this is what we talked about. It gives you dates, it gives you who it went to, and it gives you, and if you're, I mean, you can't be intimidated about how you write, just go with where you are, but at least you have acknowledged that the conversation happened.
Exactly.
So
and this is where we fail. And this is where we fail because I would venture to say that some people are very timid, and they think by sending a follow-up email that's going to cause or spark some type of retaliation by you just reiterating your conversation. It could be happening, but it's also something that can help you prove your case because they have to respond back to you on email, you know? So if I get an action item for let's just say I'm on a performance plan because I haven't been performing at work, and I get an action item from my manager, I'm going to respond to that action item, at least received, or letting them know like I've received this action and I'm going to take this following action, right? So that I'm covering my basis as to what I actually did, how I actually respond. So there's no room for error. You can't make up anything because this is all in writing. If it's not in writing, it really didn't happen, right? It's your word against their word. So you need to have everything in writing. And if they're not willing to put that in writing, then I'm not willing to go.
And you know what else, guys? You got to print it out. Find a way to get your copy of it, whether send it to your email, whatever.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Blind copy. That's what I did. When you start to realize that's happening, blind copy your personal email and just to have a record of it.
Exactly.
Once you leave the company, you don't get those emails.
It's a wrap. I was just gonna say that. Once you're gone, believe me, they're walking you out right then.
Yes.
You don't have to. You're not
you
gonna
don't
be
have
able
time
to
to find in your. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And
So
documentation beats conversation.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
All day.
I'd much rather do email. I don't care if the person is sitting right next to me. I was emailing someone that was sitting right next to me because I needed my proof, you know? So whenever I file an EEOC claim, I have some evidence. I have email conversations. I've established the timeline of the pattern because a lot of times discrimination is about patterns, right, Latangela?
Yes. Period. On the management side, everything is about patterns. That's why we spend a lot of time documenting, because we need to see if there's a pattern. If a person is late every day, we have to establish the pattern. This person has been late every single day before we can take any type of action. So, so you cannot put anyone on any type of disciplinary action if you do not have a pattern established. So in our case, we have to prove that this person has been doing something for X amount of time. And you wouldn't even believe, I can't tell you, but the amount of time for government workers before you get on the action, serious. So we have to spend a lot of time documenting behind the scenes. It just doesn't happen that fast. So if you get on action, somewhere, somehow, they've been able to establish that there has been a pattern of something.
Yeah. So this is my thing. The most important weapon we have is to do your job and do it well. Yeah. Because even though I may have been a hellraiser, if you will, that's one thing they were not able to say, that she didn't do her job. Right. That was never able to be a defense. Okay, good. Let's go to the next question. I want to ask the ones of you that have filed. Did you guys all follow this in your cases? Y'all are good to go?
I did. I researched it before I filed. So
Good
I had a
job.
lot of time to research it since they terminated me while I was in the hospital. So I was just on
And
my
I
phone
want to read
research.
some. I'm glad Frida said this because on the EEO, when you file an EEO complaint, you have 45 days to actually file for the alleged matter, but you have to go through a EEO counseling session.
Mhm.
So in that during that counseling session, that's where they try to see if they can resolve the matter. And where she did all her research, she presents all of that, and say so before you can find out even if you have a EEO claim,
Yes.
because they're not just going to waste time.
Right.
They want to know
Right.
even if your matter is a matter, you know,
Right.
like, because
Yeah.
to us, we all of this might happen to us, but on paperwork, they're like, no, you don't have no claim. So
Right.
then you can even ask, well, can I have an extension because I really do feel like I have a claim. So I'm gonna come back and bring you what you're requesting, right? So did you go through that, Frida?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, we had a counseling session with the once I got out of the hospital, I did my official you do it on the internet. Then
Hmm.
they called me, we set up an interview on the internet, but we did it like sort of like this, a counseling session with the investigator. Um my ADA rights were termination is not a reasonable accommodation.
Hmm.
And the police psychologist that they hired told them that terminating me would be worse for me psychologically, but they went against their own doctor and the advice of my personal um, psychiatrist. Yeah, so
Wow.
they failed and they violated my HIPAA rights, which I didn't know about until my therapist told me.
Hmm.
Then I was like, HIPAA, what is that? And she said, well, when HR called the attorney and told the attorney that you had PTSD, and then they used that as a reason to terminate me, saying I can't do my job as a police officer. When the police psychologist that my company hired said yes, still could do her job, but just not on the streets. Give her light duty, which I mean,
So,
plenty other officers had light duty, so I don't know why it wasn't available for me.
right.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
I know you can't say much more, but
mhm,
that's unbelievable. Let's go
yeah.
to
It's
the next
heartbreaking.
let's
Mhm.
go to the next question, guys.
What is the definition of discrimination?
It says to discriminate against someone means to treat the person differently or less favorably for some reason. Hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. So,
But the reason it's important to define it because
mhm.
it has become it's become like a cliche. Oh, they're discriminating against me.
Yep.
Because I know that there's a difference between something that's illegal and something that's just unfair, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's talk about those differences, Latangela, after
Mhm.
we talk a little bit more about what discrimination is.
Yeah. So, when you like, let's just use, I don't know, everybody's just is everybody able to share exactly what their discrimination was in the workplace? Do you mind or no?
I can share. I got my full approval from my attorney this morning. So
Good. Thanks,
Okay.
attorney.
yeah, I
Okay,
would like to
so
thank my attorney Jesse Kelly, by the way, Atlanta. He's really good. He has a lot of experience in this area. But my official violate was ADA violations. I went with a whole lot because I felt like I had a whole lot, but they found that they did violate my ADA rights for sure, and that there was a pattern of discrimination because there were white male officers saying the N word, which I've heard verbally, and other minority officers have heard. I was literally told from a white male officer to get used to hearing the N word around here. Um, at the police department, we had an officer even say to a black in front of a black female officer, "Are y'all gonna lock up some N words tonight?" So Yeah. Yeah.
What about you, Brandy?
Yeah.
I believe I'm in the very beginning stages of filing mine. I've already filed with the EEO, but I think that mine is also going to end up being an ADA violation, just simply because it's based on a disability that I have.
Okay, Tanya, can you?
Yeah, my claims are sexual discrimination, sexual harassment, unequal pay, constructive discharge. I think there's one other, but I don't remember what.
I think that when they violate one, it just encompasses so many others.
Any other?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh wow. And Ashley?
So while I chose not to file anything. It definitely was discrimination. I was probably one of the only analysts on my team who did not have shared capabilities as others, and as soon as I mentioned it, I kind of got pushed further and further into a silo where work was not being assigned to me, and it essentially ended up being like a ghost firing. Work was removed from me. When I asked questions, it just kind of like, oh no, everything's gonna work out. My manager stated that they would help me find another role, and the next thing I know, I got terminated.
I can give you just a blanket something that came up, and it had to do with race, inequalities. We don't diversity. We experience that a lot. And when we go into different geographical locations, you might have more of someone, like, for instance, in San Diego, there's a huge Hispanic population. So we have a lot of Spanish speakers, but so when people hire, they might target that specific race because they're going to have a lot of Spanish speakers coming into their businesses. But there has to be room for diversity, right? So we deal with the race situation all the time. When it comes to like promotions and stuff, we're like, hey, there's no diversity. So now this is a big topic because everybody's looking like we live in America. So you need to speak English. This is what we are encountering, but we have to prove, okay, there's a discrimination case because of race when we're seeing so many Hispanics being hired over other races and background, like Asian, Black, whites. That is a hot topic, because we're saying all the jobs are going to a specific race, but it's the geographical location. So there has to be some type of evidence, or like we say, pattern, to show like, hey, a certain group is being ousted from any type of promotional opportunities, or there has to be something. So you see, discrimination can go on in so many different layers, but there's a lot of layers to it. If you're a school teacher, anything can go with school teachers as well too. Teacher's pet. You're favoring this person, this child over my child, and now you have a whole complaint going on against a teacher because someone feels like their child is being discriminated against. If you're a business owner, we see it all the time. Declare your are you a minority business? Are you a woman-owned business? Are you who are you? And then when you classify yourself, some people could say, I'm being pigeonholed because I declared that I am a woman-owned business. So now these people won't do business with me because I have certified that I'm a woman-owned. They don't work with women. So now you have to prove that, right? Yeah. So, and it
that's why we have to keep the emotion. We have to keep the emotion out of it.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, what you can prove is what matters.
Exactly.
And you may feel like it's discrimination. Right. That's why it's so important, because someone told me this one day and I thought it was so profound. They said, Ella, there's a difference between things that are just not fair and things that are illegal. Like when I was doing my research, I saw that yelling, insulting, even bullying is not illegal.
No.
I almost fell out the chair when I heard that. I'm like, you mean to tell me that a manager can yell at you, they can bully you, they can insult you, and they can do it in front of everybody, and it's not illegal. It becomes illegal. It becomes illegal when they target you because you're a woman or because you're
Right.
black.
Right.
Right.
But
I thought that was weird.
we also see, you know, another thing that is very, very difficult to prove, that I mentioned, is people over the age of 40 getting work. There is not a lot of ways you can prove that somebody is not hiring you because you're over the age of 40. They could say you're overqualified, you know, you have a lot of experience, but they might be targeting you because of your age, but they'll say, hey, you're overqualified. You have
Absolutely.
too much experience for this job. But they really did say, you're over the age of 40 and we need some young people. But they're never going to tell you that, right?
It's not going to be direct. It's never going to be
Never going to
direct.
be direct. And
Discrimination
you're
is
never going
very
to be
hard
able to prove it. Right.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I want to put.
I was going to say, to your point, that was one of the things I learned too, is like that it's, you're allowed to be a bully to someone at work unless you're a protected class, which is being female, you know, older,
Yep.
race, another, you're allowed to do it. I mean, unfortunately,
it is unfortunate.
You shouldn't be allowed to do it, but it's not. There's no
Right.
illegalities against it.
There's none.
Now you talked a lot about promotions, Latanza. Let me ask you a question. When it comes to promotions, let's say someone just got terminated and now that position is available. Do they have to make that available for people to apply, or can they just appoint someone to it?
No. I know in government they can appoint someone. Or if someone has a hardship and they're in the same classification, they can transfer into that role without it ever being advertised.
Really?
Right.
Wow. But they could also be discriminating as well, but they can hide behind the legality of it.
I'm sorry?
I said they can hide behind the legality of it. In other words, they can say it's because we just need to get this field, but it could be, look, between the white woman and the black woman, I'm picking the white woman hands down, whether she knows how to do the job or not.
You're really gonna have to. So you're really gonna have to prove that, because I know in our case there's a lot of scoring and documentation. So things happen, but again, like we had someone who just took a hardship transfer.
What steps should I take if I want to file?
If you are being discriminated against, the first step you would take is document. Endure. When I say endure, a lot of the times, many people don't endure before they throw out the form or the word, I'm being discriminated against. You have to have the proper evidence and documentation to back up that discrimination. If you don't, it will be thrown out. And then what happens? You become bitter, you become angry, and you become vicious. And some of us even take to social media and start to tell about their discrimination. And you will put more information on social media than you did in your actual documentation. Contact your local EEOC office if you feel that you are being discriminated against. There are so many different ways. You can go to eeoc.gov, and it will provide you information on in details on how to actually file a discrimination case. And you can also look up your rights as a worker, and to be able to back up or substantiate what you are filing to prove that you have been discriminated against. Yes, absolutely. You heard Frida say she did her research.
Yeah.
When you go to file an EEO complaint, you can go look at other cases. And then you can see how your case resembles some of the cases that have gone before you. You can find out the outcome of those cases. Do your research. This is where you need to really become your own attorney before you have an attorney and say, hey, this is exactly what happened to me. And then you know how to proceed with with the information that you have and how to actually document. So I would say before you start the process, do your research, find out exactly how you have been discriminated against and what other cases came before you. I have someone right now who's she got something going on with the church. And she's like,
Church? The church?
yeah, that's right.
Jesus.
Jesus done left the church building, I guess.
Jesus has left the building.
Yeah.
What
So,
possibly could someone have a grievance with the church?
oh yes, the church it be going down in the church.
Not the
Oh my
sanctuary.
gosh.
At the
So,
altar.
but she has documentation. She kept everything on email. You and even with the church, you have the sexual harassment claims. You have all of those things. So, your documentation is your everything, and your research is everything. Look up what came before you, and I'm sure Frida, you seem to have looked up what cases came
Yeah.
before you.
This is all of my research, and I put my cases in my complaint, like per Thermo King versus California. I can't remember what it was, but I literally put the cases in my complaint
Mm-hmm.
to help them
How
out.
do you
Like, look,
how
I
do you
did all
find
this for
those?
you. Just
How do you find them?
well, just used the as a police officer, we use locus. I can't remember the name of it. I just used what I
Locus?
had um access to, but you can probably just Google some of them. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Or you could go to the law library.
yeah, the law
Oh,
library.
okay.
The law library will help you. They will help you out.
Mm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I am listen, that's good. Does any of you guys have anything you want to add or ask questions to Latangela about anything that you've heard?
I was just going to say that I didn't go through the EEOC, so I wanted to say that's you don't have to in every single situation. So um, I didn't do that. I just went straight to an attorney.
So and you're finding that to be better. Have you ever gone through the EEOC, Tanya?
No.
Never. So you just went straight for an attorney. She's
So
going
even
after
when you have
Ross.
an attorney, how
They
are they going around EEOC? What are they
I think
doing?
they handled it on my
Oh,
behalf.
they handled it.
Okay, see,
Oh,
okay,
okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay. I
Because
was
I
like,
thought
wait
you
a
definitely
minute.
have to go through EEOC
Yeah,
to
So I'm saying
file.
I
Yeah.
didn't have to. You can go to an attorney. You can talk to an attorney about what.
And they'll do it for you. Yeah,
right.
I'm
that's
just
true.
saying it's it's just kind of what your choice is. Just letting people know those options that you can talk to an attorney as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely an option as well. So question for you, Latangela.
Mhm.
You know how a lot of times I hear a lot of people, and I get asked this question a lot. I don't know why people ask me like I'm an attorney or something, but do people have to give do employers have to give a reason for terminating you when they
It depends
terminate
on
you?
the state.
Depends on the state.
California is at will. Texas is at will. You don't have, we
Georgia,
don't need a reason to terminate you.
Yep. So is Georgia.
Right.
Georgia.
So they
But
don't
the
have to
state
give you a
law,
reason. But what if you're filing with the EEOC and you just go back to them and say, "Hey, look, for my records, can you please just give it to me in writing why I was let go?" They don't have to do it, but if they do it, that's great, but they don't have to.
Exactly.
All
It's
right.
at will.
So then you can come up with your own. I mean, and so then if I say that it's for this reason, how can you dispute it if you've never really given me a reason?
Well, because it's the different classifications that you fall in. So you're gonna have to have a classification when you're filing the EEO case.
Right.
Yeah.
yes. State law don't trump federal law is what I found out, and because they said they terminated me because I was causing a hardship on the police department.
Mhm.
everybody who's ever had a physical or a visible injury was able to get light duty, but because my injury was mental, I wasn't able to get light duty. So, and then I was also able to prove a pattern of discrimination. I've been there 13 years. For 13 years, I got pages worth of when I have heard or seen or acknowledged or witnessed the N word or other types of discrimination against minorities. Mm.
I was just thinking about that when you were talking about the N word. Is it possible for someone to? I know that N word is geared toward African Americans. Like if someone calls, if someone of a different race says the N word, and it's geared toward African Americans, then it's considered discrimination. What if an African American says the N word to another African American? Is it not? Is it not considered discrimination at that point?
Well, I know of a police agency because I've talked to HR. I know of another police agency, one that I don't work at, where more black officers get terminated or written up for saying the N word than white officers, because it depends on the
Really?
policies and procedures at your police department. Um, so it depends on that as far as legal wise. At my police department, there was no policy or procedure on the use of the N word, but in the N word has historically been used by white people. A lot of times, the N word was the last thing that historically black people heard before they was brutalized or killed. So,
Mm,
like crockadoodle doo, N word, and then they you know, unalive you or whatever you can say on YouTube. So now most black people who use it with each other is called a term of endearment. Um,
right.
but it, it's a lot into it. I researched that too. But
Yeah.
what white people you have to be able to prove, was it used derogatorily, offensive? Was it intentional, unintentional, out of ignorance? I'm like, well, all of that are definitions of racism.
Right. Can
Especially
ignorance
when
save
it's
you? Can ignorance save you, Latangela? Like if someone says, "Well, I didn't know that boy was a racist word." Can people use that?
Yeah, it
Like
could.
there's no library, there's no dictionary that describes, okay, these are all the words you do not say in corporate America or on your job. So
There's no
boy just so
no,
happens to be, yeah,
no, 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 because it just depends on your environment as well.
right.
Because in some environments they use all different type of languages. You're in construction, they're using all kind of languages. Like, so it just kind of depends on your workplace.
Right. Does anybody else have any questions, guys? Y'all have any questions for Latangela? No, I definitely want to make sure we dig into um, everybody's story so you guys can see. Now, if you are just tuning into the Ella Johnson Show today, we are kicking off the birthday 53 series, my birthday 53 series, and each night we're going to be here live with different shows. And tonight we're talking about discrimination in the workplace. And I have some guests here today. These ladies are going to share a little bit of what they've been through. Very little though, because these ladies are in litigation and they can't talk in detail about their stories, but I want them to be able to let you see some of what you're going through. They're going through it as well, and this is what they did. So I want to start with you, Brandy, to talk a little bit about what you experienced. And we're not going to call any companies. We don't want to. I don't need any phone calls because they might call me on a bad day. So I want to definitely make sure that we leave that out of it because we can share the story without bringing names or bringing companies into it. So, Brandy,
I
tell
wa-
us a little bit about what you experienced, love.
A little bit about what I went through. I was offered a position that required me to do training and some certification exams in order to get the position. So it took me a little while to get it. I started as soon as I finished my certification process and got my certification. I started that same week. I worked for 2 weeks, and they did a background check on me, which is no big deal. Well, it is a big deal, but I had a felony charge that was brought down to a misdemeanor charge. And I mean, I discussed this with the HR manager before, so I didn't realize it was a big deal. Um, they sent me a notification immediately when they got the background check back and said this is a pre-adverse effect. Like, you are going to be fired, just not today, for having a background. So I was confused. I was hurt. I didn't know what to do. So in the beginning, I didn't do anything. I was just standing there like a chicken with my head cut off. But my mental illness is part of my charge. And so I really felt like I'd been stabbed twice, because these people, I had let them in. I had let them know a little bit about my history, a little bit about the things that go on with me and the struggles that I have. And then I felt like they turned around and used it against me. And it really,
Now,
it's painful.
now, Brandy, can we talk a little bit about what your illness is? Is that okay to share with everybody what
Yes,
that
ma'am. That's
is?
perfect. I was diagnosed in 2000, I want to say 5 or 6, with kleptomania. When I get under a great deal of stress, I have other diagnoses as well, but this particular one, when I get under a lot of stress, I get a lot of anxiety disorder things going on. I That's what I steal. I shoplift, and that was what my charge was. So they have me on medication. I'm fairly stable. I haven't had any more incidences in quite some time, but it's something that's marked on my history forever. I can't take it away.
And might I add that Brandy talked to us about that she was doing the job, she was doing it well. They'd given her clients to work with, and then they just took that all away. Now, Latangela, question for you. I know that when you apply for a job, they do have you sign something in the paperwork about background check. Does that background check form actually say something in there about we're going to hire you contingent upon um, your background? And then are they saying at that point, look, we're going to bring you on, but if something comes back that we don't like, we're going to let you go? Is that legal? Can they do that?
Some companies, they do tell you, their tolerance for those that have a background, and some they don't. But I know that I think there was a law that was passed where you can't be discriminated against for having a background. I just don't have enough on that, but I think that happened during the Obama era. And but it again, every company is allowed to set their own hiring rules and regulations. So if they say they don't want to hire um, someone, it depends on the background. It can even also depend on what your offense was. So if you have petty theft, well, if you have petty theft, the bank is not going to hire you. You know that
Right.
That's just an example, right? So, Brandy, when you did your application, did you omit that you had a background,
No,
or
ma'am,
did
I
you
didn't.
tell them up front? You told them up front?
Oh, well, yes, ma'am. I told her up front during the interview process. I didn't fill out an application when I applied for the job. I just turned in a resume. So there was never an application process for me. But I did
But she
talk to
knew
her
then.
during the interview. Yes, ma'am.
She knew. And that's
Yes, ma'am.
That's the part. That's what I'm saying. That's the crazy part. If she told, and I applaud you, Brandy, for being honest and upfront about it.
yeah,
Because definitely we wouldn't have this conversation had you just didn't if you had not disclosed that. But
yeah.
because you disclosed it,
Right.
I don't get it. I
I'm
don't get
blown
it.
away.
Yeah, I am
Like,
too.
she knew up front and she still hired you. So for her to even say, if I heard you correctly, for her to even say you if we find out something is on you told her. So was she not listening?
I don't know,
So
but I do know this. After they fired me, she disappeared. I can't get in contact with her. Her emails bounce. I think they fired her.
Mm.
uh,
I have a
I just, yeah, go ahead.
I have a quick because I was thinking about documentation beats conversation, but in this situation, how would you document this interview? Like, would you email someone say per hour interview? I disclose to you this situation in my background. How would you go about
Yeah.
that?
That's a good question. Um, because once you were gone, Brandy, if I understand correctly, you didn't have an opportunity to defend
Mm.
yourself, so to speak.
Well, no, I didn't. I had no opportunity.
Wow. Because it seems to me, Latangela, that situations like this, when you don't actually have a long history with the company, does EEOC look at those and say, well, that was just a short period of time, there's no
No,
documents, there's
no,
nothing? Do they not care about that?
no. Time period of how long you've been with the company.
Mm.
If discrimination is discrimination.
Okay, no matter what. So how are you doing now, Brandy, with dealing with this?
I'm doing better. I mean, it's always going to be a thorn in my side, but I know that I got a new job. I haven't started yet. I'm still doing the onboarding process, but I did get a new job, and I mean, it's not as an RBT, as a crisis line hotline worker. So I'll be working with the suicide hotlines. But I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. I tend to be resilient. I bounce back easy.
So we have a question here. R says, is Georgia not a right to work state, meaning they fire you without cause?
I is Georgia
Here, I'll bring
not
the
a right
question
to
up
I'm not
work?
sure.
again. Yeah. They said, is Georgia not a right to work state, meaning they fire you without cause?
At will.
I mean, I don't know if they're at will.
They
I
are.
don't. Sorry. Do you know, Ashley, if they're at
Yeah,
will?
they are at will.
So they can fire you without cause.
Wow.
Wow. Unless, because I'm glad we're talking about this now, because employment at will, it almost seems like the employer has the leg up when you say, well, they could just fire you for whatever reason. But they can't just fire you for any reason, because if they're discriminating, now they're breaking the law. So that trumps employment at will at this point, correct?
See, that's the whole thing. That's where what I was explaining. The documentation has to come into play because you have to prove. So at will, if they can show that they have a pattern of something happening on that job, the reason why they terminated you, the employer is always going to keep a reason why they actually
Of
terminated you.
course. Right.
That's why they have HR,
Yeah.
and they're going to make sure that they cover all their bases,
Good point.
especially when they have an HR backing. So they might not tell you. They could just say, "Sorry, your services are no longer needed." But I guarantee you, they have paperwork on you in the background.
Right.
And most staff know when they're having issues on that job because they have to let you know there's some kind of disciplinary action or some type of memos or something that have been sent forth. So you can believe that has taken place. If it didn't, and they just come into you and say, so, you know what, now that would be considered like a layoff, maybe, because if they say, I'm sorry, we don't no longer need your services, if they don't have a need for you, they can also lay you off. You might have not done anything, but the budget doesn't fit for you to be there anymore. So it just depends.
Right.
That's why I say there's so many different scenarios. But
Right.
in terms of how they get rid of you, they're going to have some documentation. They're going to back themselves up because they don't want no lawsuit. They don't want you going to
Or the
EEOC.
smart ones, the ones that understand what EEO policy means, will. But you
Exactly.
have companies out there that have no idea and they just do
Right.
what they want. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's why a lot of them are losing. But
Right.
this is a question, a comment that R sends. He says, yes, you have the document. I was given the right to sue because I documented everything and showed that they were creating a hostile work
Hostile
environment. Let's
working.
touch base on that a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, a hostile work environment is also a hot topic because,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you're in high pressure jobs. Like if you work in a call center, you're being pressed to answer so many calls per day, or if a high performing, um, any type of high performing business, you're going to experience that hostile work environment. But some people just endure because they have to pay their bills. But this person who posted their message, they weren't really willing to go for that, so they decided, I'm going to start documenting. Like, this can't be going on. Just
Right.
because we have X amount of business coming in doesn't mean that you could create a hostile work environment where you're yelling at me, somebody's cussing and fussing at you, and taking their anger and their frustration out on you. Or we see that all the time. That comes through all the time.
Yeah. And the right to sue, I mean, do
That's
you
huge.
get the right to sue? That is huge. Do you get the right to sue whether EEO sees a cause for your termination or not? Do you still get the right to sue whether they believe you were discriminated against or whether they don't believe? You still get the right to sue, right? If you
No,
file,
EEOC will
no,
tell you if you have what you have to do moving forward. If they're
right,
going to dismiss you, they'll tell you why they're dismissing you. If whatever the case, they're going to give you your next actions.
right.
So and I can't. That's like a what do you call it? A big question that I can't really narrow down because every
Case
one's
is different.
different.
Right,
Mhm.
right. Because I want to definitely make sure I get some of these comments here. Kenneth says it's truly difficult if you live in a right to work state, no cause is needed. It's more difficult if the company gives a reason because they have to prove the reason if they give one. That's a good point. Because now if I say you were terminated because you didn't do your job, well, if I can prove that you gave me awards for the last 10 years, then it's going to be hard for them to be able to back that up with documentation that now all of a sudden you fired me and now you're saying I didn't do my job. So I agree. I think it's tougher if they do give you a reason because but this is the thing with them not giving a reason. They can change it as it goes. You file an EEOC, they didn't give you a reason. They can say, "Oh well, yeah, it was because of this." Oh well, no, it was really because of this. They're flip flopping, going back and forth.
No, they will have to really prove it.
Right.
So he said it's difficult if you live in a right to work, no cause is needed. It's more difficult if the company gives a reason because they have to prove the reason if they give one. Well, it's difficult, period. Even if you're in a right to work, and you come
Right.
into a discrimination situation, the company still has to prove. So if anyone go if they get bypassed, if EEOC says, okay, this is a legit reason, let's move forward. Now you can file your complaint. The company, whether if you were at will or not, it's still discrimination is discrimination.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Good point. So in other words, whether it's a right to work state or employment at will state or not, you can
Right.
still sue for discrimination. Is
Exactly.
what we're saying. Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, we wish you the best, Brandy. I hope that you're able to progress in this new job. But definitely fight for your rights. And I read
Thanks.
in your summation you said that you want to fight for others that are going through the same situations. That's what you did, and I give you kudos for that. All right, we're gonna move over to
Thanks.
you now, Tanya. You're over in San Diego. Tell my daughter I said hi. But anyway, you're in San Diego. Tell us a little bit about your situation as much as you can, because I know that you have litigation going on as well.
Yeah, I managed military sales for a, a large company, and it was a global organization. I was the only female,
Mhm.
one of the few female managers in the company entirely, the only one in the military division, and um, it one of my higher ups did not like the fact that I was a woman. It's what I feel. Um, so I was just discriminated against, treated poorly. It was a hostile work environment, retaliation. There was unequal pay that I, discovered from two other males who were working in essentially the same role. Um, I complained to HR. I can't even tell you how many times, and it was, sort of dismissed. Um, but I just, kind of like Brandy said, it's just, for me, it was, I'm sure many women feel like this. I've gone through other forms of discrimination at other jobs in my life. And, at some point you just go, I have to take a stand. And I think this was
Right.
just so
Absolutely.
blatant that I was like, I'm at a place in my life and my career where I feel like, I'm not worried about, will I get another job if I speak out, or, for me, it was more about principle and saying,
Absolutely.
I need to do something because it just continues to happen. I remember mine was like in the height of the Me Too movement. So I remember saying that to HR, this is all over the news and you are choosing to do nothing about this. So it's, it doesn't matter how much media there is about it. It still happens. And, I just, if I can only play a small part in helping the cause, then that's what I want to do. But it's
Now,
not
you
for the biggest part, that's for sure.
Yes. You mentioned something that I also wanted to bring up. You said, I went to HR, I don't know how many times. This is my thing. I don't think, and you tell me if I'm wrong, Latangela, I don't think HR is our friend.
No.
They don't care. They are there to protect the company. Am
Right.
I right?
You're right.
Yeah. So, but you have
It's
to go
not that they
to HR
don't
because,
care. So it's not that they don't care, but their number one job is to protect the company. So
yeah.
No.
Okay,
yeah.
so but this is the thing though. You have to at least, I mean, EOC wants to know that you've told somebody though, right? So
Exactly.
you have to at least be, because for it to be discrimination, they have to have done something against
Hmm.
your complaint. So if
Yeah.
she's complaining and they're not doing anything about it, that speaks volumes right there. I think that they didn't do anything. They were just like, did they do, without saying too much, Tanya, did they do anything at all other than acknowledge that they have your complaint?
After multiple times, I think I just see this. Someone wrote something about the email trail. I worked my best to try to make sure so much of it was documented in writing, so I would have proof. So I have requests to HR and some of them not responding to me and multiple times, emailing them on follow-ups, and they finally did an investigation, but that was after I told them that it's required by law if there's a sexual discrimination or sexual harassment um, filing, then they have to do an investigation. So they did one, but just, again, it's kind of like they're doing it on the company's behalf to sort of cover their bases. So even if it doesn't turn out in your favor, which with mine, it was kind of just, I felt like they were just checking a box by doing the investigation.
Right.
And it wasn't really thorough, or, so that's when I talked to an attorney.
Were you able to get access to the investigation, Tanya?
No, I asked for it. They wouldn't give me, our HR person rewrote the findings. So it wasn't even, I didn't see the findings from the actual investigator. I just saw HR's version of it.
Okay, now that makes no sense to me. Okay.
So much of it, yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Okay, so you're saying then that you didn't, why? Because was it just a redacted version,
No,
or was it
was
just
written by
rewritten?
HR. It wasn't even
Oh
written.
wow,
It was
that
just
is That's
It
crazy.
was just her version of what the investigator said. Even though, yeah, and I asked multiple times about getting a copy of the actual thing. She didn't give it to me.
So should you keep asking, sending emails? Because I know, and I know that's I'm sure that's was the center of my demise. Is because I'll send an email, and if you don't respond, I'm going to send another one, and I'm going to send another one until you respond to me. Does that work against you? Well, it did. I'm proof that it did, but it for other people. Should they just send one and be done with it, or should you continue sending emails?
For me, I think I was continuing to do stuff because that, to me, just helps build the proof of them, their
Right.
lack of responsiveness. So if I'm
That's
emailing HR and they're not responding to, 2 or 3 emails, to me, that's a pretty good indicator of their, you know, lack of interest in what's happening.
so. What do you have to say about that, Latangelo? Do you think you should just continue sending emails, or
Um, no, I would. I mean, you're going to continue to send emails for what?
because they haven't responded yet?
Mm-mm.
No, that's not good. I wanna bring up this comment that one of our
I'm
viewers
sorry,
just
I don't
put.
have a lot to say. I'm like,
She's like, next question.
yeah.
Okay, so we have a comment. I love this. What R said. He said a guy once told me, if it is not read, it is not said. You have to leave a trail by emails.
Exactly.
Uh, yeah, that I think that just sums up the whole evening, because we've been
Yeah.
talking a lot about
Mhm.
documentation.
Yeah.
So those of you that are out there and you're watching this and you're trying to get a little bit more information, you have to start documenting. Now, I will never get on here and say that when you start fighting for your rights that it's easy. I will never say that.
It's
I will
never.
never say they're going to welcome you with open arms and say, "Oh," because I'll be honest with you. I filed EEOC and I continued to work for the company. I was going to work every day with an active EEOC claim. Now that took balls. Okay. And
Yeah.
and they did exactly what I thought. They treated me a certain kind of way, and I was a whistleblower, but I
Yeah.
did it anonymously. Now I'm just going to share a little bit of my thing. I did it anonymously, Latangela, the OSHA claim, because I knew that a lot of my people were suffering in the warehouse, and I said I have to do something about it, even if it cost me. Well, it did cost me, because what happened is companies are even so strategic that they went after my friends. Anybody that was associated with me, they started getting written up. They started getting a lot of backlash. And I'm like, no, I can't let anybody get in trouble for something that I did. I can't. So what I did is I took a piece of paper and I just dropped it. So right by the HR door, and I let them know it was me that did it. Come after me. Leave my friends alone. Well, one of my HR friends found it, and she was like, Ella, you can't, you gotta get, I mean, I was like, you weren't supposed to find it. I really wanted them to find it. So I just found another way. And I went another way and I made sure that they knew that it was me that called OSHA and cost the company like $20,000. I did that. And 2 weeks later, they let me go. Um, I knew it. I felt it, but I had to do something to protect my friend because it wasn't her fault that I was doing this stuff and I was fighting back and I filed EEOC and that you're labeled as a troublemaker when you do that. So I understand why people don't do it. So, but if you really believe, like what Tanya says, it was about the principle.
Yeah.
It's about the principle. So, right. So where are we now with you, Tanya, and your case?
Like I said, I'm in kind of the 4th year of it. It's dragged out. I mean, we've done depositions. They just lost a summary motion hearing, which for people who don't know what that is, it's basically my former employer tried to get all the claims thrown out against me. So the judge ruled in my favor on that. So hopefully we can come to some type of resolution. If not, trial is in October.
Yeah, R says
And you know
CC and
what?
BC yourself. Yeah.
It is possible for these cases to drag out for a long time.
Yeah.
It's I know when you get into these cases, and some people say, I'm going to file an EEOC claim, or I'm going to go, you're going to be in this process for a while. It's not going to go as fast as you think it's going to go, because
Okay.
there has to be a thorough investigation for every single party involved.
That's a very good point. And if you're not in it for the long haul, then just walk away, go to
Walk
another
away.
job. And we're gonna talk with Ashley, who that's her story. She's gonna tell us a little bit that in a minute, why she chose not to file EEOC. And you said you're in your fourth year of this. How do you feel? How are you holding up? How do you keep yourself positive through this, Tanya?
It's been tough because it's like on top of this. I mean, it was the nearly 4 years of harassment and discrimination. That was, before the lawsuit. So it's kind of been just so many years of this, and does a number on your mental health. And
Yeah.
I've had insomnia and depression, anxiety, and just it's certainly affected me. And but yeah, I'm a pretty strong person. This is
I can
almost
tell.
lucky that it didn't. So
I know. I was just gonna say that you are a strong chick. I love it. I love it. I love it. I just wish you the best.
thank you.
And I hope all that pain and suffering that they do have to pay for it. And I pray for you through this, that you will continue to have the strength to
Thank you.
endure,
Like I said,
as
it's just about it's
Latangela
just
says.
it's someone has to go through this. So hopefully these companies learn
That's
and
right.
don't do it again.
Absolutely.
That's my
Yeah.
main goal.
Absolutely. All right, we want to move on to you, Miss Frida. I know we've heard from you throughout, but I definitely want you to kind of take us back a little bit and tell us exactly what, if you can, you
Mhm.
know, make sure that you're saying whatever the attorney told you to say, but tell us a little bit about what caused you to get terminated. What was the reason they terminated you for?
Well, I had multiple reasons. Was on the official document was I was my absence was causing a hardship on the daily operations of the Hateville Police Department. That was the first reason. When I was able to prove that wrong, then they said, "Well, we terminated you because your Georgia post was suspended." Georgia Post is the Peace Officer Standards and Training. It gives each officer the certification to have arrest powers in the state of Georgia, basically. But I called Georgia Post while I was in the hospital because they emailed me, told me it's suspended. When I told them I was on short term disability, Georgia Post said, "Hey, don't worry about it. Just finish your treatment and then call us when you're done, and then we'll get you your certification back." I literally emailed Georgia Post and sent it to HR and my lieutenant saying, per our conversation, Georgia Post has advised for me to finish my treatment and then get my certification back once I'm done. Also, there were other
Okay.
officers. One of the officers, I was a sergeant, so one of the officers was on my shift who you have to do 20 hours of training per year to keep your Georgia Post certification. If you don't complete that, they'll suspend it. I was in the hospital, so mine got suspended. One of my officers, I remember hers got suspended, and the company, the police department gave her an opportunity to get it right so she can get her certification. And I know of other officers who told me the same thing. Hey, mine got suspended. They just allowed me to get it right. So against what the state of Georgia told the police department, they went against that and fired me. Then I was told that I was fired because I failed to show up to work for 3 days after my FMLA was up. Now, after my FMLA was up, I got approved for short term. When my short term was up, my doctor approved me for long term. Now, um, there was no disciplinary progression um, or anything. I was just in the hospital. I got no phone call, no notice, or anything like that. I was just in the hospital and literally opened my phone to check I got it by email because I was in the hospital. I was admitted. I think I was there a total of 3 months. I was admitted inpatient and then went to outpatient, which means you had to show up to the hospital every day from 9 to 3. And my diagnosis was CPTSD, social anxiety, and depression. What happened was an incident occurred at work on October the 2nd. It was a very traumatic event, and so it caused me to start panicking and having night terrors and things like that, and I ended up in the hospital. Um, so every reason they have given for my termination, I on my own have been able to discredit it. But I went to EEOC with the main one being my ADA rights being violated, because I was in the middle of treat. They didn't termination is not a reasonable accommodation for PTS. PTSD is protected um, under the I, f- I have it somewhere, but it is a protected disability, and they do have to give me a reasonable accommodation. You can be terminated even if you're on FMLA, but it has to be for a discriminatory reason. My whole 13 years there, I've only been written up 3 times, and two of those 3 times were lies. I was able to prove that. I mean,
Wow.
so I mean, I have a very good case, and I got terminated March 11th, 2022. It's been over a year. So I just went public with it. If you go on YouTube to my page, All Is Well 714, or if you go to YouTube and just put in former officer terminated by discrimination or Hateville whistleblower, you will find my videos. I have a GoFundMe on there. I'm trying to raise $10,000. So even though I have an EEOC case, they gave us the option because they said they're behind. About the time they get to my case, it'll be another 2 or 3 years, like Miss Tanja was saying. Or they can give me a right to sue letter for my ADA rights being
Right.
violated, and my attorney can go file on my behalf. But it's 7,500 for the initial, and then all these other costs. It'll be like $10,000, and that's just to file it. Then we got to have to pay all this money to have the U.S. Marshal Service or whoever to subpoena all the people that we want to come and testify for us.
Oh,
Which
wow.
most of them are officers who witnessed everything that I was able to disprove. Um, I even called my mentor when I got my termination notice by email, and I called him that same day when I got it. He said immediately file an appeal. I filed an appeal the next day. I called my HR several times, even emailed her and said, "Hey, I want to put in an appeal." She said she received my request. I said, "What else do I need to do?" My appeal was denied because it was not done right. There's nothing in the employee handbook upon the chapter 8 of appeals of the police department handbook that tells you how to properly do an appeal. And I have it documented where she never responded to my. Now I only emailed her once. I have several EOC and my attorney have all of these several emails I have sent to her based on various different things um where she's never responded. Like when my therapist said she talked to the city attorney about your mental illness, I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "Well, send her an email and blind copy me in it." And I said, "Per our conversation, you advised, although the city psychologist advised I could come back to work on light duty, that you have to talk to the city attorney first." She's never responded to that email. When they finally did terminate me, I emailed her and asked her, "Why am I being what have I done wrong?" Now, my long term disability was approved on March the 3rd, which HR knew about. I was terminated on March the 11th. 11 minus 3 is 8 days. 8 days is not long term. So, I mean, the only thing they keep
Wow.
telling EEOC from what the EEOC investigators tell me is that they have every right to sue me, to fire me because I was no longer able to do the job that they hired me to do. But to be honest, I understand. They want you, they hire you, they want you to do the job they hired you to do. But if you have other accommodations for other white male officers for light duty, but not for me, something is fishy about that. And when I can prove that there's been a pattern of discrimination upon minorities, something is fishy about that. So, but for all I appreciate being on the show. This is my first interview about this, my termination by discrimination. But if your viewers don't mind, I don't know if I'm allowed to put in a plug, but if your
Of
viewers don't
course.
mind,
Of
just
course.
helping me out on my GoFundMe. We just trying to raise 10th. I've my long term disability ended in February. I have had no income since February. If it wasn't for my
Oh,
church
wow.
family and friends, I wouldn't know what to do. I have to be out of the apartment I'm in now by June the 30th. So when desperate people are in a situation like I'm in, we take desperate measures and do desperate things. So I started making videos about it. I mean, I literally called Ben Crump, Al Sharpton. I done called everybody. And they keep saying, well, if you get representation, they have to call us. I literally called Governor Brian Kemp's office and told the lady,
Oh,
I said, look, I didn't vote for him, but I need his help. And then he said, call the Commission on um, Georgia Commission on Equal Opportunities. Um, so I was like, okay, I'm just trying to get this story out there. So, because the GoFundMe link is up under the video, just trying to get my story out there to get this money so I can get my attorney to go on and get this right sue letter and get the case filed. But
right.
amazingly, since my video is gone now, amazingly, all of a sudden, how can I say this without being disrespectful? But it's amazing. All of a sudden, now they want to come to mediate. We've been trying to get them to mediate
Ah,
for over a year. All of a sudden,
wow.
the city attorney has raised from the dead. And all of a sudden, from that's what my attorney told me this morning that he received the information. So now we're gonna see what happens. Just like I said, everything that they've done wrong and unfair to me, I said I'll come back and say, hey, they made it right. So I'm good.
Right.
But in the process of making it right, I told my attorney at EEOC I want them to make it right to the other minorities that I have witnessed and
That's
I
right.
know
That's right.
to have experienced discrimination.
Right.
And I put that in my complaint. I said I don't want it just to be me. Just because I have the courage and the boldness to do it, I'm doing it because I'm not receiving the check. They're receiving a check, so that's why a lot of them are not speaking up, and I can understand that. I was there, so
Right.
I want to be able to do it on their behalf because they are not able to because they need that check to feed their families. So I want them to be compensated for the discrimination that they have endured and probably are still enduring. Like Miss Tangela Rogers said, endurance. And I've
Yeah.
seen them go through it, but
Yeah. That's the word of the night. Um,
endurance.
but I want to also add, guys, Frida did try to get other employment at the police department because I was watching your video and you talked about how you went to different departments and
Yes.
they just didn't have the work or it was just no,
No,
no, no, one after the next.
No, I first went to the chief and I said, can I get on light duty? He said no. He don't have light duty in his police department, which I know he did because there was a white male officer who had a motorcycle accident and was able to work in CID on light duty. I went to CID, which is the Criminal Investigation Division. They said, yes, we have work. We need help. I went to the evidence technician. She said, yes, we need some help in here. I went to dispatch. They said, yeah, we need some help in here. I went to court services. Everybody needed help. I went back to the chief and said, all of these departments are saying they need help. They have light duty development. He still denied it. And then
Wow.
after my request, a white male officer was able to work in dispatch on light duty after a back injury. I went to my lieutenant, filed a complaint. I went back into I happened to walk past dispatch, no longer saw that white male officer there. And the dispatch in there told me that the lieutenant called him and told him to go home because I filed the complaint. He didn't tell him to go home because it was against policies or procedures. He told him to go home because I filed the complaint.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did he
That's a
go home
lot.
without pay or with pay?
Oh, I don't. That's a good. Let me write that down. I don't know. That's good, but I don't know if he went home with or without pay. But I do know that he wasn't there after I talked to my attorney.
You need
But
to find out if they've paid him to go sit at home.
right,
Right.
that's
Because then
no.
he's still technically employed if he's getting
Right.
Exactly.
paid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they do things for show to make it look
Right.
like we're
Yep.
doing what's right. When
Right.
in
Right.
essence, they really did do what was right if he's still getting paid and you're not.
Right. Exactly.
So, wow. Well, thank you so much, Miss Frida.
Thank you.
I wish you the best. I want you to stay in touch with me. When you get that 10, 15, 20 million, just remember, sister, that's all I'm saying.
Yes, ma'am. I definitely
But you
will.
know what? In the end, and I really just feel led to encourage you. In the
Thank
end, you're gonna see why this had to
you.
happen. It was all
Yes,
necessary
ma'am.
to get you to where you gotta go. All
You're
right.
right.
So
I'm
you
going
keep
to
hanging in
greater.
there. That's right.
Yes,
You're
ma'am.
going to greater, and you just hang in there because I really want to see you get through this. Now,
Yes,
Miss
ma'am.
Ashley, guys, if you're just tuning in, Miss Ashley, she decided to do something differently. She did not. She felt that she was discriminated against, but she chose not to go to the EEOC. Let's talk a little bit, Ashley, about what it is that you experienced at your previous employer.
So decided I wanted to take on a new role and do something different. Before I got in that role, I made it very clear this is my first official time working in this capacity as a business analyst. I've done a lot of other things, implementation management, project management, but business analyst, this is my first time. So I need some additional training and support. And
Right.
it was, we're going to get that to you. So I, of course, had to take matters into my own hands, and I wasn't getting the training. And the person who told me that they would assist me along the way, I realized was giving me incorrect information and guiding me down the wrong path. So then it looked as if I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do, or that I was doing my job. However, my review was stellar at 6 months. So I asked for additional training, got the additional training as a Scrum Master, and could have run that role on my team. But because there was somebody on the team who didn't really care for me, they pretty much made my life a
A
living
living
hell.
hell.
We'll just call it what it is. To the point to where I had anxiety and stress about logging in, and I worked from home. I didn't want to log in for work. And then talking with another Scrum Master who was kind of coaching me to move into that role, found out that this particular person did the exact same thing to him 6 years ago.
Mm.
And she did it to another analyst probably 6 months prior to her doing it to me. So this person had a track record, and no matter how much we rented up the flagpole, nobody did anything about it. And it got to the end, like I stated, work started being removed from me. I'm asking, hey, I noticed, I'm the only analyst that's not cross-functional across teams. I'm on this island by myself. I'm asking for more work. Work is being taken away from me. And at the end, it was the reason I was given for being terminated was you didn't turn on your camera, and there was no written policy about having your camera on. And there was literally one meeting that I did not have my camera on. And the other reason was that I did not provide any updates, in which when I had the conversation with my manager about work being removed from me, I stated to her, the developers are not working on my items at this moment, so there's no way I can give you an update. There's just no way I can do that. I can't make them work on my stuff. And literally she says, well, I think, you're having so many issues with this person. Maybe it's best that we help you find another role within the company. The company has plenty of roles. And literally a week later, after she came back from vacation, I got a call that said I was terminated.
You got a call.
Yeah. Well, actually, I had a one-on-one scheduled with her on that Tuesday, and it got moved to Friday morning at 8:30 a.m. And at 8:30 a.m., I knew exactly what that was. She didn't
Well,
even
at
give
least
me
they
an
didn't make you work all day like they did me.
Well, yeah, they didn't make me work all day, but she definitely didn't give me an opportunity to help find
Oh,
them or do those things. And I went to HR throughout the process, making sure that I was documenting. But at the end of the day, I decided I didn't really want to. I was ready to kind of just put that behind me.
I hear you.
I didn't want like I said, literally came off a Christmas vacation and had 2 days left before I went back into the office. And I think I stayed in bed that Sunday all day. I did not want to.
I hear
I
you.
just had bad anxiety about it. And I was like,
Yeah.
I don't want to. So yeah, that's what happened with me. And so after being terminated, I by mid-April, I think I had applied to upwards of 600 positions, no leads, no real leads. I kind of feel like it's that whole overqualified thing. And I literally was sitting here one day and I said, okay, God, what's next? Because this isn't it. I don't want to do this anymore. And my dad called and said, well, have you thought about starting your own business? And I do cakes. I already have a cake business. And so other people have told me you should do cakes full time, you know, this, that, and other. And I'm like, but I love what I do, corporate America. I absolutely love what I do. And so I had a friend of mine, I have a gym family and they pour into me. And so one of the young ladies in the gym has a virtual assistant company. And so she says, well, hey, why don't you contract with me until you figure out, you know, what you want to do. So shout out to Shannon and Alexander and Fifth for allowing me that opportunity. But in the midst of that conversation with her and my dad, I had another friend who called and said, hey, I got some work that needs to be done. Can you do it for me? And I said, well, it sounds like I have a client already. And so Sessions Enterprises was born. And I was like, why not allow small businesses to have the corporate expertise that I provide to, you know, major businesses? You know, they could utilize those skills, and they don't necessarily have the bandwidth or the resources to pay for that. I can help them with that stuff. So whether it's program management or kind of helping you put pieces into place, small business startup, you know, I have a couple of clients who work overnights and they don't have time to get their paperwork filed. I handle that for them. I have another customer who is trying to figure out how do we implement a membership plan for their customers. I'm helping him work through that process. This is what that plan should look like. These are the things that you should consider. I kind of let the cat out the bag, but I am working with a former coworker of mine, colleague of mine, and he and I are going to be able to offer mobile apps to small business owners. Who may not be able to
Hey,
have.
I need to call you.
Now we
I
can get
need to
together.
call you because I need to implement a membership process and I need an app.
Awesome. Awesome. So yes, that is what I'm doing. You know, I just feel like small businesses should be able to benefit from things that larger corporations get. So why not do it?
I am so proud of you.
Thank
I
you.
mean, even as you're sitting here telling this story, I'm sitting here. I already have the title of your book. It's called For Your Good, right?
Yes,
So
yes,
For Your Good,
yes.
the Ashley Session story. Because as you're talking, I'm thinking, I said, you know, she is definitely going on the right path. You were supposed to get fired. You
I
were
agree.
supposed to.
I
right.
agree.
You absolutely were, because you were never going to leave.
Listen, I said that to somebody the other day. I said I got complacent. I
Yeah.
did. I got my Scrum certification. I got complacent, and one of their big things is self actualization, right? So you know, I went on a self actualization journey. I realized that that business analyst role was not for me. I said that. I said, hey, I don't think this is a role for me. Scrum Master would be better for me. What can we do to help me get there? And here we are. So yeah, I agree. I don't think that that's where I was supposed to be. I honestly feel like God makes no mistakes.
That's right.
I still am able to do what I want to do, and the things that I enjoy doing in the corporate world, I can do them for smaller businesses and help them
That's right.
grow in leaps and bounds.
And see, you can do all of that. All that stuff you got inside of you, they were never going to let you do it there.
No, they were not.
Yeah. They were trying to dim your light. They weren't trying to put a light to it. They were trying to dim it. Like, no,
Yep.
no, no. You go over there in the corner and do like we need you to do. And you rose
Absolutely.
above that. I'm so proud of you. I'm
Thank you.
telling you.
You could also say the same for Miss Frida too.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty
Yeah.
much everyone that's on the line because
Yeah.
that's how activists are born.
Yes.
Through these trials and these situations because now she becomes a voice for other officers who have been through the same thing.
Yeah.
And she
Yeah.
can even start her own business with helping people to investigate and dig deeper into what their terminations and discriminations are too. You know, that's something that she probably should put on her radar, and even have other people on her platform that can come in and talk about law enforcement discrimination because that is a hot topic that
wow.
goes on all the time. So
It's in my
you
description actually.
yes, and that's what a lot of us have to know. Like sometimes our termination it ends up working out for our very good
For your good.
because
That's
some
it.
of us stay for too long, and we
Yes.
need to move forward, and we won't move forward because we have grown complacent, and something has to get us out. So in the employment sector, that is the first thing when someone comes into my office and they're talking, and I'm saying, this is a jump start for you to go ahead and do something that you never thought you could ever do. And take this time. If you're going to collect that unemployment check, you might as well do what you want to do. Start your business, do something, and find out. This is, it's not a vacation, but it is a vacation. It's a time for you to rest, breathe. Some people work and never take a vacation.
Yes.
They
Yes.
never take a vacation, and then they get laid off, and it's the end of the world. And it's like, you never took a vacation. You need a rest.
Now you have one.
Yeah.
Now
But
you have
yeah, we'll go into battle. I
Yeah.
always ask, are you equipped to go into battle? What's the seed? What's the seed reason for you to go into battle? Is it to for your glory, or for whose glory is this for? Because oftentimes some people go into battle, they're not even equipped, and they get ran over, and it sends them down a wrong path. That's when that mental stuff starts happening to you, because and you're bitter and you're angry. As I stated in the video, you become this bitter person. So everything, you don't trust people, you won't even trust on the next job that you go to. I even ask, do you go to counseling? Because you need counseling. If you go through something like this, you should be seeing a counselor.
Yeah. Yeah, I do every Monday at 1. And then I'm in group therapy still at the Ridgeview Mental Institution, group therapy once a week.
Mhm.
Wow. So you're taking care of your mental. I think that's
Yeah.
very important. I
Very.
think that's the only way you can go through this. You got to take care of that mental.
Yeah.
Meditate, read,
Mhm.
pray, listen to gospel,
Yeah.
whatever it is for you.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to encourage that. That is amazing. I wanted to bring up this comment because I didn't understand it. And I'm hoping that, maybe you guys understand what he was saying. He said he needed brownies for business support,
Yeah.
I think
brownies
he.
with business.
I think he's wanting to place an order for brownies from
Brownies.
the cake
Yeah.
business, and he wants the business support from
So,
Sessions
yeah.
Enterprises. So I think it's
Oh, okay.
a combo
Mhm.
deal.
Oh, okay. I feel that. I feel that. That's good. But listen, I want to make sure that we make our viewers understand that the purpose of this show tonight was definitely bring some information to you that you could use down the road. Some of you are in jobs right now that you absolutely hate. When you go to a job and you are sick as soon as you get on to pull into the parking lot, there's a problem. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I am a witness. That was happening to me. You're just sick. It's just something inside. It's like there's something brewing inside. And I'm telling you, for all of you, I really do see great things. I can't wait to follow up with you guys. We're gonna have another show, Latangela. We want to definitely find the other people that are out there who has stories that you would like to share and come on the show, get some advice from our Ella Johnson show expert, Miss Latangela. Yeah, that's her new title now. You can add that to your resume. Expert for the Ella Johnson show
Okay.
in workforce discrimination. No, seriously, because this is going to be a thing, just like domestic violence has become a thing on my show. This will become a thing because when I spoke to someone the other day and I asked her if she had filed a complaint with the EOC, and her response was, "Who's that?" That's when I knew that we had to definitely do a show and bring awareness on this subject. Do you guys have anything else you would like to say? I want to make sure that everybody sees how to get in touch with each of you. Um, I want to bring that up here for this is Miss Tanya. This is her website, adultsplaysports.com. Tanya, you didn't get a chance to tell us a little bit about that. Tell us a little bit about that before we get out of here.
Just real quick. So when I left my former employer, I just had to get out. So I took a job. It was mid-COVID and wasn't something I was super excited about. And, the litigation was still going on. And my health was just suffering, I think, from everything going on. So I just said, I don't want to jump into another sales job. I can't handle the stress of that on top of all this other stress. And I went to school for journalism, have a background in PR and marketing. So I just kind of went back to my roots of, I was like, I want to get back into writing, and decided to launch this website. I've been an athlete my whole life. So it's just geared towards, has content about anything adult sports related, and then a directory on it for where people can find sports leagues in their area to play on.
Nice. What was your sport of choice?
I play on 3 soccer teams.
Soccer. Nice. You ever thought about being a coach?
I don't think I'd be a good coach. I don't have the patience.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, so you're one of those that would probably pick up the ball and throw it at someone? Yeah, you stay on this side then. Yeah, we don't want to have to come and get you out of jail or anything.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome, guys. So, take a look at her website again. It's adultsplaysports.com. Just go over there and check it out, see what she has. And so she can kind of help you out. Then I want to show you guys, this is Tangela. This is some of the stuff that she has going on here. Rosa Jericho, Out the Box Coaching, Kingdom Living, Travel Tours. She's so busy. I'm sure there was so much more, but we would have a book here about all the things that she does. Tell everybody a little bit about Rosa Jericho and some of the stuff that you're doing right now, Latangela.
So I have my own nonprofit organization, Rosa Jericho Community Development, which we work within the Riverside County and San Diego County area, providing soft skills trainings, coaching, mentoring, and we also do work in Africa, which we host missionary trips. We're also looking to build a women's clinic in 2 different parts of Africa as well. So we do heavily serve over in Africa. I believe in it, which birthed Kingdom Living Travel and Tours, because I want to bring people to the continent and help them to invest in the continent. So it's not just you going to travel, but it's also how are you going to help build the infrastructure? There are so many opportunities that we are not aware of. And breaking and dispelling the false narrative regarding Africa. We always get the picture where everybody's poor or poverty, but there is so much more to the continent that people can benefit from. So I spend a lot of time in Africa. And then my Out the Box coaching is specifically for women, which is helping get your mental right. So how do you run your home if your mental capacity is not there? You're not all the way present. And then some people just don't know what to do outside of their home. If you're more than a housewife or someone like that, you're more. What's your purpose? What are you called to do besides just being at home? So I help people to find their purposes too. And I am in ministry. So there you go.
Oh, well, I'm not surprised. You've preached to us tonight, that's for sure. See, I told y'all this was a revival. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Nakasta. Nakasta is appreciative of the show and the topic. See, I told you guys we got to talk about this. We're gonna have more of these, Nakasta. Hopefully, you'll be able to join us one day. So that's good. And then, of course, we have Miss Ashley. Let me bring up her information here. Where is that? Right here. There we go. Sessions Enterprises.com, guys. Y'all need to go over, check her out. Looks like you're definitely going to be like the small business owner's best friend. So tell us a little bit. Oh yeah. So tell us a little bit more about, I know you went in, a little detail about what you do, but just a little bit more before we get
out here. So go to the website. You can schedule a one-on-one consultation at no cost. We can sit and talk about what your business does well, where you feel like your business needs some assistance. And then we can kind of talk about, what it is that I could do to assist you. And if I don't have any answers, then I definitely have a wealth of resources that I could refer you to, because there's enough money out here for everybody to make. The other thing is everything that I do is not listed on the website. So if you see, if you're curious, just send me a message, schedule some time with me, and we can talk about what it is, and I can let you know if I can handle it. And like I said, if I can't, I'll find somebody who can make it happen for you.
All right. I love it. I like that. She said, if I can't find Brandy, do you have any last words you would like to say? You've been up there in the corner, just kind of quiet.
I'm taking in all this information because it's a wealth of information. And
Oh yeah.
I, I came in this knowing that this might not benefit me directly, um, any of this, but in the end, it will benefit someone, and
That's
I
right.
will have been part of that, and that's all I care about.
Well, I want you know how important you are, Brandy, right? Don't ever
Yes, ma'am.
forget that. You hear me? Don't ever
Yes,
let them
ma'am.
define you. I mean, yeah, they may have let you go. You made a difference in that little time that you were there. You're already making a difference. So, God can hide a lot of stuff. Because I'm gonna tell you, I know He's hidden some tickets. When you go and apply for these places, and there's stuff that we all have
Yeah.
stuff. Like, don't act like I'm the only one. But we all have stuff that we may not want. But God, when God is in it, I'm telling you, that makes a big difference. I love what you're doing, Latangela, in Africa. I have a lot of friends over there in Africa as well, that I want to try to get some stuff done over there. So I think that this is the beginning of a whole new thing, guys. Tanya, when I come, Tanya. Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. I said Tanya. Well, I called you Tanya at first. So Tanya. When I come to San Diego again, I'm definitely gonna look you up. Maybe we can
Yeah,
go to
let me
lunch or
know.
something. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, I want you guys to tune in. I told you at the beginning of the show about my Cash App as well. Now, giving to my Cash App, that's gonna help to continue to have these kinds of shows, to have outreach in Africa and all the different things that I do and I'm a part of. So I would love for you to give. And it's my birthday. It wouldn't matter. I mean, I'm sure there's somebody out there that can write that $100,000 check right now.
Yeah.
Right? They're like, girl. But anyway, guys, I appreciate it. I want you guys that are watching to tune in tomorrow night's show. We are going to be talking about domestic violence, and Blossom Rogers is going to be here. She is a riot. You do not want to miss this. She's telling her story from under a bridge. That is the title of her book, From Under a Bridge. She has a documentary about it, and her story will wow you, especially if you see the picture that she took a mugshot, where she was like heavily on drugs and stuff, and then looking at her beautiful today, making plays and doing all kinds of things in her purpose. Now, if you don't believe that pain will lead you to your purpose, definitely want to watch tomorrow night's show, right? Does anybody have anything else that they want to say before we get out of here?
I just want to say to Miss Brandy, look into the free services that they have to help you get your record expunged. So depending upon what you have in your background, every state always offers a law clinic. So look into those free law clinics where someone can help you get your record expunged. So you probably will want to go to your local workforce office or something like that and ask them about their law clinics, and if they can give you a list of the clinics that you can go to and help you out.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
Does anybody want to give any shout outs to anybody before we go?
I
Thank you
just
so
want
much. Yeah, go ahead.
I
I'm
just
sorry.
want to end with a thought that just came to my mind. Whenever you can't get out of a situation by yourself situation, that's when you know it's time to bring God into the situation.
Ooh, that's powerful. And I
Yes,
think
I
on that
love
note,
it.
I love that. Say that again. Say it one more. Say it one more. Say it one more again. That was my country version for the night. Say it again.
When you can't get out of a situation or you find yourself stuck in a situation, that's when you know it's time to bring God into the situation.
Ooh, that's good. I love it. I love you, ladies. Thank you all so much for tuning in. All of you that are watching the broadcast, please share this. This was a much needed show tonight. We will be back again tomorrow night and for the rest of the week, every single night. So I want all of you to come back. I want my guests. You guys, you may not be on the show tomorrow or the rest of the week, but please tune in, guys. And I want y'all to sit tight so we can talk just a minute before y'all get out of there. But thank you all so much for tuning in to the Ella Johnson Show. We'll see you again tomorrow night right here, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. We'll see you tomorrow night. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Ella Johnson Show. We'll see you next time.
We are supporters of the Ella Johnson Show. We live in South Korea. We have been watching Ella Johnson Show for like a year now. And we love her show. Her show is very inspirational, motivational, and educational.
If you would like to be a guest on The Ella Johnson Show, send an email to theellajohnsonshow@gmail.com or send a text message to 407-334-6997.
We love Ella Johnson Show.